Hello, everyone. This is my mother, Shanda, and she is an accountant. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about her career in just a second. So it's considered a STEM career since she uses technology and math a lot. And Mama, can you go ahead and confirm for me that you have filled out the West Georgia form consenting that this video can be used?
Yes, I have.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, let's get started with our interview. How are you today?
Good. Kind of excited about this.
I know we don't get to do a lot together with these kind of things. Okay, so my first question is, what is your official job title?
So my job title is Director of Accounting at Coweta Fayette Electric Membership Corporation.
Okay, and then can you tell me a little bit about your educational background and degrees you possess?
Yes, I am a proud UWG graduate. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting in class of 2001.
Awesome. Okay, so what does a typical work week look like in your job? Like, do you do paperwork? What do you do? Because I'm not totally sure, and I've been your kid for 22 years.
Okay, so our accounting department is responsible for many functions within the electric cooperative business. Um, like you would imagine, we're full of accountants. We have plant accountants, general accountants, payroll accountants. We have a CFO. It's just full of accounting people. We process payroll and accounts payable. We keep up with all of the plant inventory. That's like poles, vehicles, anything that costs substantial money. We process all the general ledger transactions. We issue capital credit refund checks, and we compile and present financial statements, just to name a few things of what our responsibilities are.
Okay.
A large part of this job, or my job, is to coordinate these processes so that they are completed timely and to make sure that there's no errors in the information that we give. I work with all of the departments within our co-op on a daily basis. I'm responsible for keeping up with our daily cash management program. That's one of the most important things that I do. As you can imagine, everything we process for us is on a pretty large scale. One of our power bills alone each month is around $12 million or so. It can get up to 15, just
Okay.
depending on the year. But and so we bill everyone nightly. So if we bill everyone daily like that, then there are payments coming in every day as well. So I have to keep very detailed records to utilize our cash. Some days we may have to borrow from our line of credit if in our months where our power bills are really high. And then other days we may have excess cash where we're able to invest what we have and we have it returned or coming back in when we have these larger bills going out. And that's just kind of how we manage that. But it's all about balance and being very detail oriented because you've really got a lot of information that you've got to have organized and keep up with. And most of what we use on a daily basis is Microsoft Excel and Access. We use it for just about everything. And just recently, we're getting into data analytics, and that's something that we see exploding in our co-op community. But that's kind of like a typical day.
What is data analytics?
So data analytics is really, in simple terms, we have lots of data out there. Thousands of different items that we can analyze, and that could be from members' bills to like kilowatt hours consumed on a daily basis
Okay,
to,
so you're collecting data. I got you.
yeah, collecting data and utilizing it.
Okay. So then my next question is going to be, how does your job impact the community? So I know you do extra things with your job too, and I want you to talk about those as well. But how does
Okay.
your job impact the community?
Well, the first thing to understand is that an electric cooperative is a not-for-profit member-owned organization. So one of the most important tasks I have is to make sure that our co-op operates efficiently because our goal isn't to make a lot of money like some of these other businesses like an AT&T or a Georgia Power or something. But instead, we just want to have enough margins to cover our operating expenses each year. If we make too much, then we aren't using our resources adequately. So there's a fine line there. But the margins that we do make, because we are a cooperative, will be refunded back to the members at a later date as capital credits. And so
What
because we
is a
do that, we have no
capital
foreign or
credit?
outside stakeholders. Only the members that we serve are the owners of the company.
Okay. What is a capital credit? I should
So
probably know what
capital,
that is.
so a capital credit is just your piece of the pie, pretty much. So each year when we assign margins, once we determine what we make, everybody that purchased power or had a bill with us that year, we take those margins and we divide it based on your prorated amount of. So, an example would be like if I say my power bill for a year was $100, and let's just say the total power bill was, of everybody was $1,000. I'm going to get whatever 1,000 is of those earnings
Okay.
allocated to me.
So you get your piece back.
Mhm.
Okay. And then my next question would be, how does the community impact your job? So what does the community do that changes your work?
Okay, so everything we do is focused around the members. That's just part of being a cooperative. And those members democratically control the capital of the cooperative. So they elect our board of directors, who in return have the responsibility of being an integrated part of the community. So the community impacts my job directly by shaping the co op's financial focus and by requiring a high degree of transparency with the members. Part of what I do is present financial statements at meetings to people who may not have a financial background. So I have to have a strong communication skill to explain this complex financial topic in an understandable way to those people. And then the community's economic initiatives can also impact my job. So, a good example of an economic initiative would be EV charging stations. So, in Fayette County, we've seen tremendous growth in this area with a number of commercial consumers who are wanting these. And for example, one of the biggest ones that I think people would be familiar with is the Trillis film community. It's hopping over there if you haven't been to Fayette County. So, but my role is to help manage the financing for projects like this and also account for them.
Okay. Manage financing. I'm gonna finish my notes. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. And now my next question would be, what recommendations do you have for students who would want to have a job like yours in the future? So I know things change all the time. I know you've been in this a while. What recommendations do you have that I could share with my students or any students I would teach down the line um, if they wanted to pursue a career like yours?
Okay, so I feel like I could give endless recommendations on this, but when I tell people that I'm an accountant, they automatically assume that I love math. And I can tell you that math was
Right.
probably my least favorite subject that I studied in school. And a lot of people that do this probably enjoy it. It's not really the math aspect that I enjoy. I am good with numbers, but I feel like one of the most important skills that you have to have in this position is to be organized. You've got to have the ability to solve problems and interpret data that's given to you. And then you've also got to be able to communicate effectively with people. In most cooperatives, a bachelor's degree is a minimum requirement for doing this accounting job. But we have some people that have associate's degrees, and then we have some older people that have worked their way up through the company. I have a lady that works with me that's been there over 30 years, and she started out as a meter reader, and she's our plant accountant now. So there's room for growth, there too. But as I said earlier, a minor or an accompanying certificate in data analytics is probably the most desirable thing right now. So if you can have like your major in accounting or finance, and then maybe have that background in data analytics, like that's probably the most desirable trait that I could suggest for someone if they're going the college route. Um, I would suggest that anybody that's looking into this field to maybe call your local co-op. There's almost 50 co-ops in Georgia. And I think it would be, an ideal for somebody to shadow what a co-op accountant does. We do probably more things than most people think of, and I don't consider my career to be a boring career. It's just one of those things. I think you just have to see it to understand it.
Yes, like
Um,
I think I've gone a long time without understanding your career. I've never seen it.
I know. But the good thing about like my co-op specifically is that we actually allow for you to work here. You might be doing a non-degree position, but we actually we have like a education reimbursement program. So that's one of those benefits that we offer. So I actually have my payroll accountant. She started off as a cashier and was working, and she actually attended West Georgia, and she completed her degree. That's right, while working there. And so after it took her a little while, she's an older lady, but she was able to get her degree, and then she was able to get a promotion to our accounting department.
So even if you don't start out the degree route, there's options.
Yes.
Okay, that is good to know. All right. And then my next question would be, what are some ways you utilize technology in your job?
So the I guess the biggest thing I can think of are just, the computers and then the programs that we use. Um, I use Excel, like I said, on a daily basis. We use the internet for like 99% of our banking. Everything is, online these days.
All internet
And
banking.
uh-huh. So,
Okay.
like for the banking piece, we do wires daily and process ACH payments. When we do payroll, all of that's online through banking. And then, like the wire transfers between our accounts, we don't just have one bank or one account that we use. We have a lot actually. And that's
Okay.
just kind of like a safeguard. So, um, another thing is that I have access to a lot of data that I have to drill down to. And a specific example of that would be looking at actual expenses to what we budgeted
Okay.
and the details of that for financial reporting. And again, I use Excel for that mostly, but we also use data sets and Tableau to analyze some of this data.
So again, that data analysis stuff.
Uh-huh. And then also like our co-op, we have electric co-op specific software. It's actually a software cooperative that's based out of Atlanta, and it automates a lot of the tasks that we do. And a lot of that used to be done by hand. So it's even just in my 20 years, I've seen it transform tremendously.
I'm sure. All right. So my next question is, what are some social skills needed for your job?
Oh, let's see. Social skills. Definitely communication is probably the biggest one that you need. Being the director, I deal, like I said, with every department within the co-op.
It's
So
like
you gotta,
teamwork.
I'm sorry,
Teamwork is a good one.
teamwork, yes, because you gotta be able to motivate people too. So you kind of gotta have that positive, get at it attitude. But, the other part of that is that I present this financial information to people without financial backgrounds. And examples of that could be our board members. Our board members have a broad range from housewife to business owner. And then I also have to explain stuff to other employees, engineers in particular. Um, and then just our members, I get a lot of calls from members, that ask questions or they get escalated to me. Um, so you've got to be able to communicate well. And then actually it's both written and oral communication. I'll make that statement because I've got to know the audience I'm presenting to, and I've got to find a way to get my message across so that they'll understand. And I know that, like I said, when I present to our engineers, they're very statistic oriented.
Mhm.
So they want to see
You probably
numbers.
wouldn't present to me the same you would present to your engineers.
No, and that's right. So like when we present something to the board, like I said, we have all the way from housewife to business owners and everything in between. They're very much like they like to see charts and graphs and things that they can visually look at that show them examples of what we're talking about.
For visuals. That is good. Okay. And then how do you see your job changing over the next few years?
Um, hmm. We probably will have a good bit of change. I think, and this is probably with anybody's job, is it's going to be artificial intelligence that's going to transform a lot of these business jobs.
Right.
I don't think that using AI is going to replace the financial roles completely. I know there's people on both ends of the spectrum of that, but I do think it can greatly enhance it. The biggest area of impact will be our financial forecasting. That's something it's we have information that we can pull, but we don't have enough information. And it takes us a long time to pull this information to where if we had a dashboard with my co-op's been around for 78 years this year. So can you imagine having 78 years of,
The paper
sales?
closet of things and stuff at
Yeah,
work.
I
I've
mean,
seen that.
yes, we have. I can't imagine how they used to do it back then. We have those old ledgers from the 40s, and those people
It's cool
probably
though.
did not get paid enough to do their jobs, is all I
No,
know.
probably not.
But so we have almost 100,000 members. So if you think there's about 100,000 bills each month, over 100,000 actual number of payments. It's just a lot of information to keep up with. And even with spreadsheets, I mean, we can only do so much with that. So when AI, gets a little more involved, and you have to be cautious with it.
Right.
What we think it's going to really enhance as far as like what we can do with forecasting with, adding right now we usually look at 10 years at a time, but if we were able to put the whole 78 years together, like I think we would have a better picture of where we're going.
That makes sense. And I think I relate to that in some ways with my job. AI can enhance some parts of what I do.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. I mean, but I do think there's going to
There are
be
good
some good things.
aspects to it. You just have to balance.
Yes.
Okay. And then my final question. So getting different groups of people involved in STEM is kind of like a goal for the future.
Hmm.
And a lot of people want to do a job where they can help others. So they go into like nursing or teaching, the things that come to mind quickly when you think about helping others. But there are other careers in STEM like engineering and math where you can still help other people. It just may be less direct or people may not know as much about it. So, in what ways do you feel your job allows you to help others that I could present to students or other people going into a career like yours?
I'm going to kind of touch on, I know you asked me earlier when you were asking about some of the things I do, so I kind of saved it to add with this here. But
Fine.
um, so electric cooperatives try to operate at cost. And so, like I said, our goal isn't to make a lot of money. So, by doing my job correctly and proactively, I'm helping to keep our costs down, which keeps the member rates low. So, if we make a big mistake or we're not keeping up with this stuff, that directly ties into the rates that we do. So, everybody wants lower electric rates. I promise. Just go out on Facebook and look at the comments sometimes.
Yes.
So, that's a big part of what we do. I mean, it's being efficient to keep those rates low. Um, Another thing, and I'm just going to go back to because it's an electric cooperative and cooperatives are just super cool. But, we follow the Severin cooperative principles. And the one that I would like to talk about here is that we have something called concern for community. And this is what I think is kind of cool about my job too, is that I get to be involved with many of the events that we sponsor or that we participate in. We give back lots of money to the community, not only in capital credits, but we have lots of schools that we sponsor. We do job fairs, just different type of organizations that we're able to give back to. In 2019, I was actually able to help build a Habitat for Humanity house in Noonan, which that's probably one of the coolest things that I've got to do. It's very rewarding, and to think that you get paid to do this, I mean, there's all kinds of opportunities like this, but that happened to be one of my favorite ones. The other thing I like is that, I like to go speak to schools about electric cooperative accounting. I spoke to some students in the
You have
fifth
to
grade
speak to my
last year.
class last year. That was
Yes,
cool.
and I thought that was super cool because, when I was in school, I can tell you I did not want to be an accountant, but I had never heard of, an electric cooperative accountant. And I mean, and to be honest, it's kind of a specialized field. We follow different rules because we borrow from the government. There's actually separate accounting that's a little bit different, and it's not something that you're taught specifically in school once you get hired on in a co-op. They teach you that, but it's just cool that you get to do these different things and be involved in the community. And, on the other side, like actually working, you're helping to keep rates low and members happy and, all that good stuff.
Yes, sounds very rewarding. And I think I just wanted you to touch on that part because a lot of people don't realize, I've learned in this class that STEM is so rewarding and that you can choose STEM careers that give back to others.
I know. And we actually have, I want to throw this in there. We actually have a job posted at UWG right now, and it is the data analytics job. It's actually titled a financial analyst. And so, this is something new. We have not had this type of opportunity available. But, like I said, when we're talking about the future and how things are changing, we know that this is something that we're
A
gonna
great
we're gonna need.
experience.
And so it's not necessarily, I mean, it's in the accounting department. and they're going to be considered an accountant, but we're kind of looking for an accountant that's, got that background with the data analytics. And I know West Georgia has that program, and I don't know how new it is, but I have seen it advertised. So I'm hoping that we get
That's
some good
exciting.
candidates, possibly.
That would be a good way. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for doing this interview with me and giving so much insight and thinking really into the questions that I asked. I appreciate it. And thank you.
All right. Well, you're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.